I wanted to make a video today that I actually can monetize. That's something that I fight another copyright claim over. But this was so cringe that I feel that if I don't show it to you guys, I will deprive you of something. There is this something in your life that you need to have. And if I think financially while making this video, I will take it away from you. So this is the kindness that I get to show to my subscribers. Now, one last word of advice. Make sure you are sitting down before watching this, because it's peak cringedom and you're going to facepalm yourself so hard you might fall down, and I don't want you to injure yourself. I want healthy, productive subscribers that can click on my videos and subscribe to my channel. So make sure that you're sitting down, alright? You've been warned. Here comes.
My fellow whites, let's raise a glass to this pyramid of money, the foundation of which was built upon our favorite pastime, fucking the poor!
Party's over, you pieces of shit! This is my money now, so back the fuck off!
Like, yikes! I feel exactly like Peggy McIntosh, trying to unpack the invisible knapsack, but I don't know how to unpack this. How can you manage to push so much communist filth in just a couple of seconds? Like, can you see how professional the people at DC Comics are? My god! This tells me two things. Number one, the person who wrote this, the propagandist, is clearly a communist. And number two, he never been to a socialist country. He's not from Eastern Europe. I am willing to bet money on that. No, he's from a rich, wealthy capitalist nation, not understanding the privilege that he has, and deciding to piss on what made his life better and made it so that he can reach the level at DC Comics where he is at now. I mean, look at the depiction these people have of a capitalist. This is the same depiction that the USSR had on capitalists. It is eerily similar, is it not? It's almost like he went to Moscow in order to study how to draw cartoons. But then all of this would be accurate if they were talking about socialists. Because yes, I can definitely see this yacht being filled with champagne socialists. Let's look a little bit around the world in reality. Let's look at Zimbabwe. Now, Zimbabwe is not a democratic nation. It's a socialist country. And you have the socialists that took power by force. There were people who rebelled. They got placed against the wall and shot. Allegedly, this is between 20,000 and 40,000 people that tried to resist the evil socialists. And what happens today is that the people in Zimbabwe live in abject poverty. I mean, we're talking about a 72% poverty rate. That is horrible. I mean, look how these people live like. Look, even the people in America that are poor and live on welfare probably have a better lifestyle than these people. I mean, the life expectancy is dropping. The inflation is skyrocketing. It's not a good place to be unless you're the socialist. I mean, look at this. These are the rich kids of Zimbabwe. The son of the dictator actually has a Batmobile. An actual living-size Batmobile because he likes Batman and he went to Daddy. And Daddy, can you make me a Bat? Of course. Of course, why not? I mean, look at this. In a nation where the GDP per capita is 1,500 pounds. This is less than Afghanistan. You have the wealthy, which are the socialists and their kids, that are flaunting $14,000 alligator skin. Do you have a $14,000 alligator skin? All of a sudden, I see why it's so good to be a socialist. Oh my God, like I would definitely want to be in that position. Look at this, gold-plated Giuseppe Zanotti trainers. Batmobile, jets, furnished in gold. It's interesting, and not only that, but they also love to show their wealth, to show to other people how wealthy they are in a nation where people are literally slaving so that these people can get wealthy. But I know what you're saying. You're saying, well, V, that is somewhere else in the world. That is somewhere far, far away. We live in Europe. Here in Europe, we are uplifted people. We would never allow for something like this to happen because we are Europeans. Even though that actually happened in my country, when people were freezing their ass off at minus 20 degrees because the government wouldn't turn the heating on so that it can cut expenses, when the dictator had mansions he was living in, when the dictator's son actually killed someone. He killed someone with a car in an accident. And the press covered it up because the press was subservient to the Socialist Party. Even if you're going to ignore all of that, that people were living on a ration. You couldn't buy how much meat you wanted. You couldn't buy how much bread or how much cooking oil you wanted. You had a ration. While the leader, the dictator, the socialist, was eating Venetian after he was going out hunting. Even if you ignore all of that, let's look at modern time Britain. Let's look at the UK and see what happens with the BBC, which takes money from the people. Doesn't operate based on a capitalist way of just putting ads for people to see. No, you need to pay a license. You need to pay a license for that. And not only that, but if you watch the BBC from Romania, for example, then you get ads. So the BBC is making money internationally by showing ads to people, and internally by being beggars. By being beggars, by being like, yeah, please give me money, give me a pound, give me the license money, please give me the license money. Huh? Because they're socialists, and the people working at the BBC are socialists. In fact, the guy that I'm going to show is part of a larger interview where he actually says that people from Labour are socialists, but they're not as left as he is. Like, the people working at Panorama are even more left than the Labour. Yes, apparently it's I didn't think it's possible, but apparently, like, you can always go further to the left. I don't know if there's a stopping point, but anyway, right. So this person isn't operating based on the free market. He's operating based on licenses. That's how he gets his cash. And what does he do with the cash?
Some red wine, but
Thank you so much.
we'll panic about that at the appropriate moment.
And I just grabbed those
Thank you very
ones.
much.
Thank you.
On expenses in a boozer with the dog and the fire. Good. And I think we should have one more bottle of wine. Fuck it, no expense spared. 2 brandies, 2 limoncellos. This is from the Cassis, or the Keel Royale. But even better is another version which is with blackberry, blackcurrant, liqueur and champagne. Keel Royale. Have you got any flaming Sambuca? And then 2 Keel Royale. And then the bill. Lovely, thank you. Thank you very much. I think we've got to do a runner. It's a joke. It's fine. It doesn't, I don't care. Not only, I really don't care. Good. Service included. So make it 220.
220 pounds! 220 pounds! My God, I used to live a month after paying my utilities for 220 pounds! No, but seriously, when I was poor, I would buy a single pizza, a frozen pizza from the supermarket, and I would eat 2 days from it. It is insane to see that you have this person which gorges himself on the taxpayer money. And it's not only that. He then goes on and describes how he finally meets a white working class lad in the conference room, and for him it was just like seeing some cannibal from the Congo. He was like, whoa, what is this? So he went down from the heavens to talk with the little mortal. It's like the disdain that the socialists have for the people that actually pay their taxes so that they can gorge themselves. Look at them laughing, right? Look at them laughing when he sees this. It is just... And maybe it's me that I'm angry because I lived under such tyrants. And not the guy from the Panorama. No, he is the enabler. He is the tyrant enabler. He is not going to actually become the leader if the regime ever manages to get hold. No, he's going to become the pleb. But you know what's even funny? Be honest. In his head, in his white little head, do you think that he pictures himself when socialism comes, he pictures himself living in a one-room apartment like everyone else? Or does he picture himself living in a mansion, in a villa? Do you think he pictures that his lifestyle is going to get worse, is going to improve, or is going to stay the same? That's the real question, because I guarantee to you, almost all of socialist intelligentsia believe that once the socialist government comes, they are going to live exactly the same, if not better. So back to the DC propaganda. We analyze the incorrect depiction of a capitalist. Whenever they talk about capitalists, you should think about Zuckerberg, You should think about Jack Dorsey. You should think about Jack Conte. Okay, these are the actual capitalists that the modern left is not talking about. They're not talking about because they're corporate socialists now. They're not actual, classical economical Marxists. No, they're the woke type, which is the biggest cancer. And then they talk about the capitalist hoarding the money. And we discussed about how the socialists actually hoard the money. And finally, the cringe de la cringe, the creme de la creme, which I saved for last.
My fellow whites.
So even more bullshit for me to debunk. Honestly, socialism is such a cancerous ideology that they constantly have to lie. Even when talking about the problems, like they can't actually find real problems, they have to lie. Which is really insane considering there are actual problems in the real world you can focus on. Why do you have to create things that aren't true? So the woke-tards will usually say, well, it's because America is a white supremacist country. And it's like, okay, so if America is a white supremacist country, why aren't the whites able to create the supremacy where they're on top? Are they literally that incompetent? I'm generally trying to struggle to understand this. So if you look at America, whites are number 3 on the median household income. East Asians are number 2. And Indian people are making almost double than what whites are making. And this from Wikipedia, by the way, doesn't even have Jewish people, which are on top of the Indians as well. And by the way, I don't care. I'm not part of the ideology that think I need to rob the Indians to give it to the people on the bottom. I don't think we need to rob East Asians so that American Indians can earn more. I don't think we have to take from people by force. If someone manages to make money through legal means and operate in the system, and the system is designed in a correct way, then yeah. If the system isn't designed in a correct way, then tell me which parts of the systems do you think aren't incorrect, and we can have a conversation about that. But I wouldn't covet the Indian man's wealth and be like, and I don't even live in America. But I'll tell you what happens, right? You're going to have someone that says, oh, we need to take the money from the Indians and give it to the blacks. And I'll be the middleman. I'll be the guy which goes and takes by force money from the 1%, the top, and I will redistribute it. And do you know what happens? Because this is why socialism never works. Listen to this shit. The moment the guy in the middle takes the money, he never gives them back. And then you're going to have some Marx tard going, it's like, well, this is not what Marx said. Well, no fucking shit, but what did Marx expect? Like, when you have the middleman taking the money, why would he have to give them back? He's not wealthy as fuck. What? He has all the power. Why would he ever actually want to give the money back? And finally, the thing that tears my art complex apart is, dear fellow whites, who talks like this? Who? I have been on this planet for 33 years. I have never heard a person go like, dear fellow. Have you guys heard? Like, maybe there's like some convention of white people somewhere that I haven't been invited to, and I need to become a member. The only place where this is being uttered is on the Twitter. And it is such a joke at this point that it's actually a meme. A website collecting memes is collecting the fellow white people as a meme. And it roughly goes something like this. You're going to have a blue check mark coming up and say, dear fellow whites, we are pieces of shit. We need to understand that we are human garbage. We need to do more. And by doing more, we need to keep pushing socialist propaganda and vote for the left. And then when you look at the person's timeline and you then call him a piece of shit, they're like, oh, no, I'm not a piece of shit. I'm not a white person. I'm Jewish. And because this is done so often, and it sticks out like a sore thumb, white people do not say, dear fellow whites, it gets the average Joe to notice. And when the average Joe notices, he gets banned for hate speech, for talking about it. So how is this not creating anti-Semitism, I wonder? Because I'm willing to bet, if I were to poll the entire Jewish population and ask them, do you think this is acceptable? Do you think this is appropriate? They'll probably vote no. I mean, what causes racism? What causes anti-Semitism? Two things: lack of education and bad apples. If you're not willing to deal with the bad apples, then people are going to notice. You're going to ban and suppress the people who notice, and then more people are going to get offended. And they're going to say that, oh, you know, these activists, these blue check marks are representative of the group as a whole. You think the ADL would step in at some point and say, well, can you please cut this shit out? You're not helping. If you have to say something about white people that you wouldn't say about any other race on the face of the planet, maybe don't say it. How about that? Especially if when people are going to say, well, okay, why don't you do what you preach? And then you say, well, I'm Jewish. Let me tell you how annoying this is. All right, maybe you don't. Maybe you're one of the few that just don't get it, how ridiculous this is. Imagine if I was to go ahead and say, hey, dear fellow Jews, we need to do this and this and that. And when someone goes like, V, why isn't your dick cut? When are you going to cut your dick? Like, you're a Jew, right? Don't you get circumcised? I'd be like, oh, no, I'm not actually Jewish. Wouldn't that, like, get people to be upset? Now, imagine 10, imagine 20, imagine 100 people doing it in public, on the Twitter, with blue check marks attached. Don't you think, like, at some point there might be a little bit of people having resentment towards me and people like me? Of course there would. So, call it out when you see it on the Twitter. And now to see it in a cartoon with the lack of self-awareness that is packaged, I wonder who trolled DC Comics. Like, literally, who trolled DC Comics with this? Because it's so blatant and it's so funny that I just can't help but point it out. With the punishment of probably getting this video demonetized. And this is probably hate speech, because hate speech is not the person who does the shit, it's the person talking about the shit that's being done. There was actually this Twitter account, right? The Noticer. And what the Noticer did on Twitter, he just took the dear fellow white people and quoted them. He didn't add anything himself, didn't talk about it. He just took the blue check marks and put them. And he had like this massive wall of dear fellow white people. This insane wall of text. And he gets banned for hate speech. And now he went on Gab and he does the same shit that I think is like, no, sorry, not on Gab, my bad, on Telegram. He went on Telegram, that's the same shit that is one of the most popular growing accounts there. And now the journalists are finally writing about it. And I was like, oh, this is white supremacy. Well, why didn't you intervene when people are doing this? Call it the fuck out, it's not okay. Because the average Joe can't call it out, because, oh, well, it's hate speech. Yeah, no fucking shit, it's hate speech. Like, everything that goes against socialism is hate speech, because it's the only way socialism can thrive. It's not an actual intelligent movement. You can't have a group of people listening and have a socialist come out and honestly say, yeah, we're going to steal your shit, we're going to take all your shit away, yeah, your little business, yeah, we're going to take it away. No one is going to vote for him. So he needs hate speech in order to make sure that no one comes on proposing an alternative. That's what hate speech is about. It's not about protecting minority, it's about protecting ideology. But anyway, oh, I digress. Thank you for watching. Got a little bit upset with this video. Talking about socialists always upsets me. I definitely think every country in the world should have 10 years of socialism. No more nor less. It would be like a vaccine. You have 10 years, no one will want it ever again. It will be like Eastern Europe all over the place. So you would get angry too when talking about things like this. You know, seeing a guy gorging himself on the taxpayer money. Seeing their criticism on capitalism when they would never talk about Zimbabwe. You know, when Botswana, like literally Botswana is next door. It is literally next door and is doing so well. And you know, like, oh, don't even get me with the race. Like the whole thing with Zimbabwe. Oh, we blacks need to stand together against the colonial occupant and blah, blah, blah. And they confiscate the land from the white farmers. Then they cause a starvation in their country. And what do next? They invade the Congo. All of a sudden, oh, there is no more blacks together. It's us versus them. My God, like, the hypocrisy is what pisses me off. And I need to close the video before I go into another rant. And I'll never be able to finish. Thank you guys for staying with me. And hopefully I'll have a more funny video tomorrow.